All right, today we're going to tear down one of the biggest, most sacred ideas of modern work, the 8-hour day. We're going to explore a framework for achieving truly elite performance, not by working more, but by working with this incredible, focused intensity. So, let's get right into it.
I mean, really, think about it. Why do we still work 8 hours a day? It's a total holdover from the industrial age, designed for factories. And yet here we are, most of us in knowledge work, still chained to our desks for a full 8 hours. Is all that time actually productive? Or is it just, time we're supposed to be sitting there?
And look, the research on this is really clear. The illusion is that we're on and productive for 8 straight hours. But the reality? For even the most dialed-in, high performers, we're only capable of about 4 hours of that true, deep, concentrated work. The rest of that time? Well, it's mostly just noise.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this illusion, shall we? The standard workday just wasn't built for the kind of high-level, creative, problem-solving work most of us do today. It's an old, outdated model that frankly just creates a ton of inefficiency.
Because here's what happens. When you have 8 hours to fill, you will absolutely find a way to fill it. And this leads to what we call filler work. You know what I'm talking about. Those endless email chains, the meetings that go on forever when they could have been a quick message, and just tasks that make you feel busy but don't actually move the needle on what's important. And that idea, it brings us to our very first core principle. This is a super powerful mental model that explains exactly why this happens. It's called Parkinson's law. And honestly, understanding this is the first real step to taking back your day.
And here it is. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Sounds a little academic, right? But it's so simple. If you give yourself a week to write a report, guess what? It's going to take you a week. But if you give yourself 4 hours to do that exact same report, chances are you'll get it done in 4 hours. The container you create defines how much you fill it.
And this is where the magic really happens. It forces a mental shift. By putting a tight constraint on your time, like a 4-hour workday, you're forced to stop asking, what can I do today? And you start asking the much more powerful question, what absolutely must I get done in these next 4 hours? It forces ruthless prioritization.
So how do you actually use this? It's pretty straightforward. First, you set that artificial 4-hour container for your most important work. Second, you identify only the mission-critical tasks that have to happen in that block. And third, you just mercilessly eliminate the fluff. It's all about creating focus by subtracting the fluff.
Okay, so you've got your time box. Awesome. But now, how do you figure out what to put in that box? For that, we turn to another brilliant idea, the 80-20 principle, which you might also know as the Pareto principle.
The basic idea here is just wild when you really think about it. In almost anything you do, a huge chunk of your results, like 80% of them, come from a tiny little sliver of your efforts, maybe 20%. Your entire job is to figure out what that high-leverage 20% is and focus all your energy there.
And just look at this. It's crazy, right? That tiny little bar of effort on the left, that's your 20%, the vital few, and it's producing that massive bar of results. And meanwhile, all that other effort, the trivial many, is producing, well, almost nothing. You want to live in that first bar.
So how do you put this into practice? Let's break it down. First, you've got to identify your leverage tasks, the 2 or 3 things that make everything else easier or irrelevant. Then, everything else, that other 80%, you delegate it, you automate it, or you just get rid of it. And this last one is huge. You have to create a stop doing list. Sometimes what you don't do is the most productive thing of all.
But wait, all this intense focus? It takes a lot of fuel, right? And that brings us to maybe the most important pillar of all. We've got to shift from managing time, which is finite, to managing our energy, which is actually renewable. This, right here, is the key to making the whole system sustainable. I mean, really think about it. You can have a totally empty calendar all the time in the world, but if you're completely drained and have no energy, you're not getting anything done. Real productivity isn't about perfectly color-coded calendars, it's about mastering your own energy so you can hit that peak state when it actually matters. And this is what that looks like in practice. It's not a marathon, it's a series of sprints. You work in these intense 90-minute focused blocks, and then, and this is critical, you take a real 15-minute break to recover. You step away, you recharge. This cycle of intensity and recovery is how elite performers stay sharp all day.
Okay, so we've covered the why, we've talked about Parkinson's law, the 80-20 rule, and managing your energy.
Now let's get super practical and put this all together into a daily framework you can actually use like tomorrow.
First things first, every single day starts with identifying your big rocks. These are your 2 or 3 most important, highest leverage tasks for the day, the ones that came out of your 80-20 thinking. These go on your schedule first, before anything else, no exceptions.
All right, next up, you have to build a fortress around that deep work time. You do this by putting all of your communication, all the emails, the Slack messages, the quick check-ins, into one single 60-minute block. You handle it all at once, ideally at the end of your 4-hour sprint. No more constant distractions.
And finally, this might be the hardest part, but it's non-negotiable. When your 4 hours are done, you are done. You need a hard stop ritual. Shut down the computer, close the laptop, go for a walk. Whatever it is, it needs to be a clear signal to your brain that the workday is officially over. This is how you prevent work from creeping into your recovery time.
And really, that's what this whole thing is about. This is not about slacking off or being lazy. It's about achieving an incredible level of output, of true high performance, but doing it in a way that's actually sustainable, focused, and, well, human.
So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. If you could get everything that truly matters, all of your most important work, done in just 4 focused hours, what would you do with the rest of your day? That freedom, that extra time, that impact, that is what this is really all about.